Hi everyone, my name is Kylie McCoy and this is my persuasive speech. Do you remember the last time that you were in a conflict with a friend or a close family member? The chances are there was probably a miscommunication that was involved, or one or both of you were not communicating effectively. Communication is how we interact with others and how we get our ideas out into the world. So when we aren't communicating in a way that others can understand, it can honestly lead to a lot of conflict, and especially when there's a personal attack that is perceived or is even said. The Department of Health and Human Services says in their 2014 article on relationships and communication, in relationships, communicating allows you to explain to someone else what you're experiencing and what your needs are. It helps you to be connected in your relationship. So communication is really that core foundation of a relationship, because if you're not talking to someone, you don't know where their heart is, then you can't be close with them because you don't even know them. So when that communication, that foundation of communication is not going good, that causes the entire relationship to suffer and can ultimately lead to a breakdown in that relationship. That's why I believe that classes on this interpersonal communication will lead to reducing the breakdown of relationships, because people will better know how to communicate with their loved ones or even just their acquaintances. So first, let's talk about why poor communication causes these breakdowns in relationships. Miscommunication often leads to confusion or aggression, and people can often get offended when they take something the wrong way or they just don't understand what someone is saying. People involved in the situation, when they don't understand where the other person's coming from, there's no effective solution that can be come to, or a conclusion that they can have to resolve that situation, resolve that conflict that they're having. The Department of Health and Human Services says in that same article, some experiences or topics are difficult to talk about. It is often the things that cannot be talked about that hurt the most. So when you're having a conflict with someone, or you're communicating with someone and there's an issue, it's often because there's an underlying hurt that's going on, and taking care of that hurt is the number one priority so that more conflict doesn't happen. Nonverbal signs, and when someone's not being courteous in a conversation, it can cause the other person to withdraw, especially non-verbally. So if I'm having a conversation with you and I'm just looking away and I really don't care, and I'm acting like I don't care, my face acts like is portraying that I just don't care about the conversation or the relationship, that can cause you or the other person in the conversation to feel left out, feel upset, like, hey, if you don't want to be here, then just leave. And it can cause a lot of hurt and a breakdown in that relationship because that communication is not effective. So if this causes those relational struggles, how would better communication fix this problem? By improving communication, conversations are just going to automatically flow better. People are going to mesh easier with one another, and this will lead to ultimately just better communication, which will lead to better relationships. So a key point in actually understanding this is avoiding selective hearing and listening to someone else's side of the story. So Corey Floyd, author of Communication Matters, says selective hearing means listening only to what you want to hear and ignoring the rest. So I really liked this idea of a switch, turning on listening when you want to hear something and turning it off when you'd like to ignore something. I just thought that was a really nice depiction of what selective hearing is in general. By reducing this, a full understanding can be reached because you're actually listening to what someone's saying, and they're listening to what you're saying. You're hearing their heart all together instead of just the pieces that you want to hear. I think that this would be taught in classes, interpersonal classes that are on communication, and I think that by implementing this at a younger age and teaching it throughout someone's life, that when they get into those situations where they need those communication skills to keep their relationships good, they will then have them. It'll be part of normal life. The National University says in their article on benefits of interpersonal communication classes that it will aim to help students identify the various theories around interpersonal communication and apply them to their real-life experiences. Barber and Goldberg, in their 1974 book on interpersonal communication teaching strategies and resources, says that this would teach perception and how to put oneself in someone else's shoes. If you can do that, then communication is going to be just fine because you have that empathy factor. These classes would aid in better communication all around, and therefore reducing that breakdown of relationships. That's why I believe that these should be implemented, because communication skills are just so vital to relationships. And when you have those tools in your tool belt, then you'll be able to use them when you really need them. People will have a better understanding of one another, which will lead to all around better communication and relationships. Thank you.